However, one is not different from the other. In the end, the devotee and the man of knowledge become one. Ignorance is destroyed by following the path of knowledge. The light of knowledge alone shines. What lies beyond the light of knowledge, he alone knows who goes beyond, nothing else, and no one can reveal that. Have patience until you reach the reality. The primary stage, meditation is tiresome. It is like learning the alphabet. Gradually, peace comes. There are boys who, after they have been initiated, complain to me that they are not getting anywhere. I do not listen to them for 2 or 3 years. Then later they come and tell me, "Yes, Maharaj, I am getting somewhere now." Do not be impatient. Struggle intensely for 2 or 3 years, and your heart will be flooded with joy. Another question. Maharaj, we are university students and have come to you for spiritual advice. Learn to speak the truth always and observe continence. Next question. We have been practicing breathing exercises. Should we continue these practices? No. Breathing exercises in themselves can be extremely dangerous. It is sufficient if you will repeat the name of the Lord. Through the practice of japa and meditation, you will reach the stage of kumbhaka without risking the dangers which may easily come from the practice of breathing exercises. Practice japa, and your breathing will become finer and finer, and you will gain control of the vital energy in a natural way. It is not an easy task to wholly surrender yourself, body, mind, and soul to God. How can I surrender myself to God? I have not known him or seen him. Therefore, how can I love him? These are the doubts that arise in the mind. Once a man admitted to Sri Ramakrishna that he felt no inclination to meditate on God. The master asked him whom or what he loved most in the world. And the man told him that he had a pet lamb which he loved very dearly. "All right," said the master, "that is very good. Every time you feed your lamb, every time you pet him, or do anything for him, think that you are serving the Lord. If you can do this with wholehearted sincerity, you will reach the highest. Blessed are those who have received the grace of an illumined guru. The guru shows the way to the other shore and removes all the obstacles. Have intense faith in the words of the guru and follow his precepts faithfully. Thus will the impurities of the mind be washed away and the light of knowledge dawn. Enlightenment comes quickly to one who has faith in the guru, but one must learn to see God in the guru. The guru must never be regarded as man. By worshiping him and serving him as God, the body and mind are purified. Through the help of the guru, God is first revealed, and then guru and God become one. Unless the heart and mind are pure, the vision of God does not come. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when a man finds an illumined guru, he is soon freed from the sense of ego, and he himself becomes illumined. But no man can free himself from the bonds of worldliness if he follows an ignorant teacher. There is suffering for both the disciple and the teacher. For how can he who is not illumined give illumination to another? How can he who has not found God and received his command, who has not been strengthened by the strength of God, give strength and help another? How can the blind lead the blind? Only a free soul can give freedom to another. If a man truly longs for God, if he sincerely desires to practice spiritual disciplines, he is bound to find an illumined guru. That disciple who has the grace of the guru knows the path. let him follow it diligently. My boys, you have the grace of the Guru. You have the desire for spiritual knowledge. By receiving the Lord's name, you have received his grace, and you also have the society of the holy. Now you must strive to get the grace of your own mind. By gaining mastery over your own mind, you will, by its grace, realize the grace of God and the grace of the Guru. The tendency of the lower mind is downward towards worldliness. This tendency must somehow be controlled. Hold the reins tightly. As the expert trainer controls and trains the elephant, you must learn to train and control your mind. Be its master. Let it not control you. Teach it to give up all craving for fleshly enjoyments. When the mind is once freed from craving, it becomes your slave. That is why the ideal of renunciation is so highly extolled in the Gita and the other scriptures. God and the lust for worldly enjoyments cannot go together. To have one, you have to let go of the other. At the same time, it is not possible to entirely give up the lower pleasures unless you have tasted the joy of the higher. That is why I insist that you give your whole heart to God now, while you're young. Make him your own. God is my all in all. Fix this truth firmly in your hearts, and the path will be easy. When once you taste the joy of the Lord, all other pleasures will become insipid. Dedicate your lives to him. Take refuge in him only, and then let him do with you what he wills. Within each one of us, there is free will. This freedom of the will is in reality the freedom of the Atman. The Atman within, excuse me, I had to turn the page. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, awaken the power of the self which is within you. After all, what is the meaning and purpose of spiritual practices and disciplines? It is to strengthen this will, the will to attain God in this very life. As the mind becomes purer, the will becomes stronger. It is downright laziness to relax this will and think that in some future time you will realize God. Think of Buddha, what determination he had. After years of searching, he finally sat himself down under a tree, determined to realize God then and there or die in the attempt. That is what is needed. I will tell you a secret. You may not fully understand its meaning now, but in time its truth will dawn upon you. And this truth is that every man's will and mind lead him progressively toward good. Some are led along thorny paths, and some are led along smooth paths, but all reach the same goal. Knowing this, there are some illumined teachers who advocate the following spiritual discipline. Let go the mind and will. Let them wander at random, but always keep a vigilant watch. Be the witness. Thus, if the aspirant really lets go and still keeps constant watch, even though for a time the mind may run after filth and vanity, in time it is bound to turn progressively toward good. Who can fathom the infinite moods of the infinite God? Whenever we try to express him through our mind and speech, we limit him. It's easy to do great deeds, the deeds that bring name and fame. But it is by his small, everyday actions that a man's character is known. The true karma yogi does not work to gain publicity. No matter how insignificant his work may be, he throws himself wholeheartedly into the task, because for him, his work has become worship of God. Everyone wants to do the work he likes. Everyone wants to do the work he best likes to do, but that is not the secret of work. Whatever work you do, whether you like it or not, know that it is the Lord's work and adjust yourself accordingly. Remember this, all work must be done as worship of God. Give 3 parts of your mind to God and apply the rest to your work. If you can do this, your work will indeed be worship, and your heart will be filled with joy. Under no circumstances give up your spiritual practices. If you give up the practices of japa and meditation and engage yourself solely in work, egotism is bound to arise in you, and you will become the source of quarrels and disharmony. Someone broke a bottle. Maharaj continued, "Ah, how careless you are. Where is your mind? With such a restless mind, nothing can be accomplished. Learn to perform all duties, great or small, with a concentrated mind. He who can concentrate his mind in action can also concentrate when practicing meditation. This is the true secret of work. First, learn to like your work, but do not look to the results. If you can perform every action as worship of the Lord, then you will like to work and feel no attachment to the fruits of your actions." In the Gita, Sri Krishna says that it is possible to attain liberation through work only. But in order to achieve this, one must have intense renunciation. All mental, physical, and spiritual energies must be concentrated. Then only can you reach God. Be active, but keep the constant recollection of God. Faith. Without faith, none can attain God. He who has true faith has certainly reached God. If you have faith in 1 penny, it has value. But if you have no faith, even in a gold piece, it has no value for you. He who has faith in God is freed from doubts. Without renunciation, there can be no faith or devotion. Renunciation is of the first importance. It destroys all ego. Pray to Sri Ramakrishna. He still lives. Pray to him. You are mine and I am yours. Merge yourself in his consciousness. He will show you the path. But Maharaj, do you mean to say that Sri Ramakrishna is still living? Of course he's living. Are you mad? If he were not living, why should we lead such a life, giving up our homes and all our possessions? He is. Ask to see and know him. Pour out your whole heart in prayer to him. He will remove all your doubts and show you his true nature. Do you see him, Maharaj? Yes. Through his grace, I see him. Anyone can see him if he has his grace. But how many are there who love him? How many yearn to see him? It is not an easy matter to see God. Without a harmonious development of the mental, physical, and spiritual powers, religion is not possible. Faith, intense faith, is what is needed. He who has faith has everything. He who has faith in God overcomes all doubts. Without dispassion toward the world, faith and love do not grow. You must have dispassion. To lose the ego in God is dispassion. Maharaj, when I sit down to meditate, I find that my mind wanders and I think of many things. How can I stop this restlessness? Just as the Ganges has its ebb and flow, So is there an ebb and flow in spiritual moods at the beginning. But later, as you continue, there will come an even flow of the mind toward God. Try diligently to check this mad outward rush of your mind. You can do this successfully if you do not try to meditate as soon as you sit down. First, draw the mind back from its external pursuits by means of discrimination, and lock it up inside at the sacred feet of your chosen ideal. Then make jopam and meditate. If you try diligently to follow this course for some time, the mind will naturally cease to wander. The way of jopam is the easiest path to follow. By constantly performing jopam, the mind can easily be made calm and steady, and finally it will lose itself in God. Therefore, I ask you to perform jopam regularly and often, and at the same time meditate on the chosen ideal. This combined practice brings quick success. Always practice your disciplines with unswerving steadfastness, and let not a single day pass without them. Whether you like it or not, sit down at the appointed hour every day. If you can continue your practices for 3 years with unerring regularity, I assure you that love for God will grow in you, and you will feel yourself nearer to Him. Then you will be prompted from within to call upon Him and Him only. Then you will not be able to turn your mind in any other direction. It is at this stage that the aspirant feels the joy of spiritual life within his heart. Without intense love for God, it's very difficult to practice spiritual disciplines in the right way, even after retiring into solitude. When you are alone, there is always a possibility of serious consequences. Therefore, two of a similar type and temperament should live together, so that mutual help and guidance may be given should any spiritual crisis befall one or the other at any time. But on the other hand, if there are more than two, confusion may arise. They may indulge in worldly talk. Such idle talk not only causes the mind to lose its higher tendencies and nobler aspirations, but makes it forget God. While undergoing intense disciplines, it is good to cut down the quantity of food to a minimum. Jopam and meditation are not possible on a full stomach, because the greater part of your energy will be squandered in digesting the food, and the mind will remain disturbed. That is why moderation in habits, in food, in recreation, in everything, has been so strongly enjoined by the Gita. Yoga is not for the man who overeats, the Lord says, or for him who fasts excessively. It is not for him who sleeps too much, or for the keeper of exaggerated vigils. In this sacred monastery, how great are the facilities for spiritual practice. You do not have to concern yourself about food or clothes or anything. All is ready at hand. Live here and apply yourself wholeheartedly to a life of constant prayer and meditation. No good comes of living like a vagabond, my child. Just one second. Okay. If you think that you can become a Mahatma or a great seer by wandering here and there, let me tell you, you are mistaken. You cannot become a saint that way. Without unceasing practice, you cannot have any religious experience. It cannot be had by trickery. If you sincerely long for God, you must plunge into meditation and become completely lost in God. Now, I think we'll stop there for this afternoon. Does anyone have any questions or comments? We finally got on Zoom, I can see. How are you all? It's good to see you. Any questions or comments? It's a pretty clear delineation of both Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. We have just had it told us by the masters. So, okay, then I think we'll end with a chant, but first I'll tell you that Saturday we'll have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna reading at 5. And Sunday, Pravrajika Vrajaprana will give the lecture, The Friend in Your Pocket, at 11 a.m. Be on both Zoom and YouTube and here in the temple. We'd love to see you in the temple if we can. However, Santa Barbara is going into full mask requirements Friday on all indoor activities. So be prepared to have your mask on through the entire lecture. Okay? We'll end with the chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.